But the big news of the day, Evgeny Malkin at Penguins practice, yelling throughout the hallways to anyone that would hear like it was Christmas morning and Santa just delivered presents. He's here. Sid's back. Sidney Crosby is back with the Penguins in action, was a participant in practice today. Jack St. Ivany also practiced. Sam Girard practiced for the Pens in Carolina as they go up against the Hurricanes tonight at 7 o'clock with Stuart Skinner in the net. Penguins currently second place in the Metro, 34-18, and, of course, 15 because of those overtime and 10 shootout losses. But they get Crosby back. Sid leads the Penguins in goals with 27, points with 59. That's despite missing the past 11 games due to injury. So Sid has missed that time because of the Olympic break that followed with a buffer of right around a week or so before they actually began play, considering when he was hurt, missed 2 games for Team Canada, and then the 11 that followed for the Penguins once he came back to the States. And the big question was, how would the Penguins weather this storm? How would they be able to handle no Sidney Crosby through what could have been an even longer stretch of time? That 4-week timetable that the Penguins put out there, once the Olympics were over, you thought, IR, minimum of 4 weeks for Sid. Is that 4 weeks from when he was placed on IR? Is that 4 weeks from when he was initially injured? Sidney Crosby was injured in Milan on February 18th. Sidney Crosby returns for the Penguins on March 18th. Perfect timing. Yes, it would have been great if he never was injured anyway. But as the schedule continues to ramp up for the Penguins, and they've weathered it with 2 wins on this last road trip in a row, in difficult matchups against the Colorado Avalanche, the team with the most points in the entire NHL, who they throttled 7-2. Beating the Utah Mammoth, a team that, is fourth in the Central, fighting for a playoff spot, 4-3. They did get shellacked by the Golden Knights 6-2. You kind of expected that after they beat up on Vegas 5-0 at home earlier this month. And the Carolina Hurricanes, to start this road trip, they took 1 point, lost in the shootout, biggest surprise ever. And now they'll rack it back with Carolina with 2 games in the next 5 days. On the road in Carolina, again, to bookend the road trip. Not often that you see that. You begin a road trip, you end a road trip with the same team, and yeah, it's the one team you're looking up at in your own division. And then we'll face them again on Sunday at 3 o'clock after playing the Jets on Saturday at 1, a back-to-back at PPG Paints Arena. How are the Penguins going to be able to do this without Sid? How are they going to be able to withstand Evgeny Malkin? Sid goes down, Malkin, time to step up, played a couple of games, looked solid, and what do you know? Stick to the face of the opposition, and now he's suspended 5 games. So, 11 games Crosby missed. 5 games that Malkin missed. Crosby and Malkin out at the exact same time for a stretch of those, but for, half the time that Sid was out. The Penguins without Sid, and factor this in without Gino too, in those 11 games were 5-3-3. And as Josh Getzoff put it on Twitter, the Penguins were tied for second place in the Metropolitan Division standings when they returned from the Olympic break. In a pretty good spot, tied with the Islanders, hoping that they could just tread some water. Don't sink, Penguins. No drowning here. Stay afloat until the captain comes back. Where are they now? The night Sid comes back. They're tied for second place in the Metropolitan Division standings. You move ahead a month, and it's like nothing happened. And this is in large part a credit to Kyle Dubas in the way that he's built this roster. Anthony Mantha, who is not a household name, is already at a career high in goals. Like, he's blowing past it. 26 goals, 52 points. He's played every game. Anthony Mantha in his career, the most goals he ever scored was 25 during the 2028 or 2018-2019 season. So what I should say is he's blown past what he's done over the last 5 years, where his previous high was 20 with Washington in 23-24. 52 points, most he's ever had. 67 games, tied for the second most that he's ever played. The most ever was 17-18 for the Detroit Red Wings when he played 80. Tommy Novak, Brazeau, Chinakhov looks like one of the best additions to any team at the deadline or not in the way that he's been able to play with Malkin. Malkin comes back against Colorado with a vengeance, scores 2 goals, a vintage spinorama type goal for Malkin to begin the scoring. They limit McKinnon, they limit Makar. They chase Colorado's goalie just less than 10 minutes into the game. And you put the best team in hockey on the ropes. And now you welcome your captain back. Still at a point per game. Still a dominant force in the NHL. And it just makes me believe that this team is plenty capable of winning a playoff series. Maybe even 2. And that's something that we haven't seen them do since 2018. When ultimately they won their first round matchup but lost to the Caps as Washington went on to win the Stanley Cup in the first for Alexander Ovechkin, and what is going to be the last, the one and only. But I tell you what, man, 3 years in a row of missing out on the playoffs, and the way that Kyle Dubas has built this roster, the Penguins have 81 goals this season by Penguins that are in their first season with the squad. That ranks first in the NHL by 18 goals. The next closest is 18 goals away from the Penguins' 81 total goals. So I asked this question to you at 412-928-9370. Sidney Crosby's back tonight. Is this what will propel the Penguins into the playoffs to stay? Because there are teams that are right on their tail, creeping up right behind them, that are ready to pounce, that is ready to strike. Of course, the Islanders have been there with them neck and neck like it's a relay race, basically running side by side for, how long's a marathon? 26.2 miles, I think? We should know because we do the 5-hour marathon every year, and that's how many hours that we're on the air. In a Columbus Blue Jackets team that is one of the hottest in all of hockey. Will Sidney Crosby coming back tonight, adding to a team that is already playing well without him, that at times would collapse without Sid, collapse without Gino. They came back down 3 goals during this stretch in a game. They hadn't done that since before I was born. Hard to believe. I think this is what's going to do it. You get Sid back, you treaded water, everything that you could have asked for. Like they didn't go under 500. Sure, they lost in the shootout a couple of times in overtime, but that's just what they've done all year. It's so different. And you're still able to take away 13 points in 11 games.